This story was a scary one that happened to me before. I remember that I was only 10 years old. Horror stories were completely true and they were scarier than rumors at that time. My brother was 2 years older than me. That evening, eating dinner, the two of us sat down to play together. After playing for a while, my mother urged us to sleep because we had to go to school the following day. After listening to my mother, my brother called me to put my toys away and go to the bedroom. Our beds were separate. After my brother told me a fairy tale, we also turned off the lights and went to sleep. I quickly fell asleep. I just slept for a while when suddenly I felt like someone was calling me. I clearly felt my grandmother's familiar figure outside the window. She was calling my name. My eyes were still closed, at sleep, but I answered my grandmother involuntarily. My answer was also unconscious, and I simply answered her call. Strangely enough, I saw my grandmother standing there, staring at me. Everything was so hazy. I tried to open my eyes, but couldn't. I humbly tried to call my brother, but I couldn't. It was like I had sleep paralysis. My brother told me to sleep because he thought I was disturbing him and wanted to ask him to continue telling the story. At that moment, I could still hear my grandmother calling me outside. After that, the call faded away, but I still answered her. I asked if she was my grandmother. However, I still couldn't wake up. Grandma was still outside. She stood there motionless for a long time, but somehow I could see and feel her so clearly. I tried my best to turn around, but my body was stiff, frozen, feeling heavy. My grandma's call got louder and louder. She kept calling me back to her place. The following morning, the sunlight shining through the window woke me up. Accompanied by my mother's call, we need to get up for breakfast and go to school. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, remembering that last night's dream was strange and yet so real. I didn't even know if it was a dream or reality. I turned to my brother and asked him if he heard our grandmother calling outside the window last night. My brother, however, replied that no one had called except for my groans. My brother also emphasized that if my grandmother called me, she would have woken me up, so why call me for that? Besides, it was a third-floor window outside. How could Grandma call out there? Then my brother left the room, leaving me with a strange suspicion. But it was truly a third-floor window. How could anyone be standing out there? This story was strange, so it could only be a dream to me. When I went downstairs for breakfast, I still had my doubts about last night's incident. I told my parents what had happened to me, but my mother assured me it was just a dream. My father, he again confirmed it was a dream because I missed my grandmother so much. My grandmother also returned home yesterday. I went to school and also accepted that it was just a dream. However, when I got home that afternoon, I learned the scary truth. As I went upstairs to my room, I saw my mom and dad doing something very confusing. My mother was holding my dad back so he could get him out the window to hang something. I saw a wooden sword suspended by a red string. Even though I was young, I still knew it was a kind of exorcism that I still saw in dramas. I was surprised to ask my parents what they were doing. Why hang that thing outside my window? My mother turned to tell me that the apartment complex was haunted and that someone had fallen to below. Maybe what I saw last night was real and not a dream. In the morning, the janitor, while cleaning, discovered a child laying motionless on the ground. He panicked and ran to find the boy still alive. This boy was from the 4th floor above my family's apartment. An ambulance quickly arrived. The boy was taken to the car in an unconscious state. Everyone was confused as to why a child would fall from the 4th floor of the apartment building. When the child's parents heard the news, they immediately quit their jobs and ran to the hospital. Fortunately, The child fell into a soft mound of soil and vegetation, so they were only soft injuries, not life-threatening at all. When he regained consciousness, the boy told his parents a scary story he had encountered. While he was sleeping in his room, he heard a familiar voice outside the window. He realized it was his grandmother's voice. Unconsciously, he sat up. Because he recognized the voice of his loved grandmother, he had no doubts that it was her. The boy dimly went to open the window and asked in surprise why his grandma was calling him at that hour. Suddenly, a scary, pale, white-eyed face appeared. At this point, the boy realized that she was not his grandmother, but some terrifying figure. The older woman grabbed his hand and pulled him to below. Everything happened so fast that it took him by surprise. By the time he woke up and realized that this was a fourth-floor window and his grandmother had long since passed away, it was too late. He fell straight down. When my mother told me this, I got goosebumps. If so, did I meet a ghost last night? And did she disguise herself as my grandmother to lure me out the window? I have heard a lot about the legend of the apartment lady, but this time I did not expect to encounter anything like that. It was said that she could fake the voices and even the shapes of children's relatives and lure them to jump out of windows. Therefore, my father had to hang a wooden sword in front of the door to ensure our safety and prevent that woman from appearing again.